Hey, real quick before the story starts, if you like lit reading, I've got something new you might enjoy. It's called New Tales Told, original short stories. Same voice, same vibe. Just search for New Tales Told right here in this podcast app. And just so you're not surprised, there may be some ads before the story. Sorry, we have to pay the bills.
Hey guys, it's Paige from Giggly Squad, and if you're anything like me, holiday shopping has officially started. And you know where I'm going? Ulta Beauty. They have the cutest gift sets right now, like the Sol de Janeiro, Shea Rosa, and Cheer Perfume Mist Trio. It smells so good. I've been misting it everywhere. On me, on the street, on my pillow. It's a whole vibe. I'm obsessed with the Tarte Kindness Cafe Collector Set. It's packed with everyday makeup must-haves, and it's honestly too cute to wrap. And if you need a cozy little self-care moment, the Moroccan Oil Hand Care Essentials Kit is luxe, hydrating, and smells delicious. Don't worry if you can't decide right now. An Ulta Beauty gift card is the perfect gift for everyone. So whether you're gifting your bestie or yourself, make the season yours and head to Ulta Beauty today. Ulta Beauty, gifting happens here.
Hi, this is NBA champion, host of Road Tripping, Richard Jefferson, and today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile. The holidays can get hectic fast. Family, travel, gifts, and trying to keep up with it all. That's why Boost Mobile is keeping things simple this season with deals that make holiday shopping feel like a treat, not a chore. When you bring your own phone and switch to Boost Mobile's $25 unlimited plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month. No trade-ins, no contracts, no hassle, just straightforward savings that keep your wallet full while still checking off your list. It's the kind of win you don't have to work for. Easy, affordable, and built to keep you connected on and off the court. Visit boostmobile.com to start saving. After 30 gigabytes, customers might experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 per month as long as they remain active on Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
Welcome to Lit Reading. I'm Don McDonald. There's a great short story for almost every holiday, even the decidedly American tradition of Thanksgiving. And who better to tell such a story than one of America's finest authors, O. Henry? Here is O. Henry's own introduction to his story, Two Thanksgiving Day Gentlemen. And a quick note, Sailor-Rotis biscuits are biscuits made with baking soda. There is one day that is ours. There is one day when all we Americans who are not self-made go back to the old home to eat Sailor-Rotis biscuits and marvel how much nearer to the porch the old pump looks than it used to. Bless the day. President Roosevelt gives it to us. We hear some talk of the Puritans, but don't just remember who they were. Bet we can lick them anyhow if they try to land again. Plymouth Rocks? Well, that sounds more familiar. Lots of us have had to come down to hens since the Turkey Trust got its work in. But somebody in Washington is leaking out advance information to them about these Thanksgiving proclamations. The big city east of the cranberry bogs has made Thanksgiving Day an institution. The last Thursday in November is the only day in the year on which it recognizes the part of America lying across the ferries. It is the one day that is purely American. Yes, a day of celebration exclusively American. And now for the story, which is to prove to you that we have traditions on this side of the ocean that are becoming older at a much rapider rate than those of England are, thanks to our get up and enterprise. Stuffy Pete took his seat on the third bench to the right as you enter Union Square from the east, at the walk opposite the fountain. Every Thanksgiving Day for 9 years, he had taken his seat there promptly at 1 o'clock. For every time he had done so, things had happened to him. Charles Dickensy things that swelled his waistcoat above his heart and equally on the other side. But today, Stuffy Pete's appearance at the annual trysting place seemed to have been rather the result of habit than of the yearly hunger which, as philanthropists seem to think, afflicts the poor at such extended intervals. Certainly Pete was not hungry. He had just come from a feast that had left him of his powers barely those of respiration and locomotion. His eyes were like two pale gooseberries firmly embedded in a swollen and gravy-smeared mask of putty. His breath came in short wheezes. A senatorial roll of adipose tissue denied a fashionable set to his upturned coat collar. Buttons that had been sewed upon his clothes by kind Salvation fingers a week before flew like popcorn, strewing the earth around him. Raggedy he was, with a split shirt front open to the wishbone. But the November breeze, carrying fine snowflakes, brought him only a grateful coolness. For Stuffy Pete was overcharged with the caloric produced by a super bountiful dinner, beginning with oysters and ending with plum pudding, and including, it seemed to him, all the roast turkey and baked potatoes and chicken salad and squash pie and ice cream in the world. Wherefore he sat, gorged, and gazed upon the world with after-dinner contempt. The meal had been an unexpected one. He was passing a red brick mansion near the beginning of Fifth Avenue in which lived two old ladies of ancient family and reverence for traditions. They even denied the existence of New York and believed that Thanksgiving Day was declared solely for Washington Square. One of their traditional habits was to station a servant at the postern gate with orders to admit the first hungry wayfarer that came along after the hour of noon had struck, and banquet him to a finish. Stuffy Pete happened to pass by on his way to the park, and the seneschals gathered him in and upheld the custom of the castle. After Stuffy Pete had gazed straight before him for 10 minutes, he was conscious of a desire for a more varied field of vision. With a tremendous effort, he moved his head slowly to the left. And then his eyes bulged out fearfully, and his breath ceased, and the rough-shod ends of his short legs wriggled and rustled on the gravel. For the old gentleman was coming across Fourth Avenue toward his bench. Every Thanksgiving Day for 9 years, the old gentleman had come there and found Stuffy Pete on his bench. That was a thing that the old gentleman was trying to make a tradition of. Every Thanksgiving Day for 9 years, he had found Stuffy there and led him to a restaurant and watched him eat a big dinner. They do those things in England unconsciously, but this is a young country, and 9 years is not so bad. The old gentleman was a staunch American patriot and considered himself a pioneer in American tradition. In order to become picturesque, we must keep on doing one thing for a long time without ever letting it get away from us. Something like collecting the weekly dimes in industrial insurance, or cleaning the streets. The old gentleman moved, straight and stately, toward the institution that he was rearing. Truly, the annual feeding of Stuffy Pete was nothing national in its character, such as the Magna Carta or jam for breakfast was in England. But it was a step. It was almost feudal. It showed at least that a custom was not impossible to New York, America. The old gentleman was thin and tall and 60. He was dressed all in black and wore the old-fashioned kind of glasses that won't stay on your nose. His hair was whiter and thinner than it had been last year, and he seemed to make more use of his big, knobby cane with the crooked handle. As his established benefactor came up, Stuffy wheezed and shuddered like some woman's over-fat pug when a street dog bristles up at him. He would have flown, but all the skill of Santos Dumont would not have separated him from his bench. Well had the myrmidons of the two old ladies done their work. "Good morning," said the old gentleman. "I'm glad to perceive that the vicissitudes of another year have spared you to move in health about the beautiful world. For that blessing alone, this day of Thanksgiving is well proclaimed to each of us. If you will come with me, my man, I will provide you with a dinner that should make your physical being accord with the mental." That is what the old gentleman said every time, every Thanksgiving Day for 9 years. The words themselves almost formed an institution. Nothing could be compared with them except the Declaration of Independence. Always before they had been music in Stuffy's ears, but now he looked up at the old gentleman's face with tearful agony in his own. The fine snow almost sizzled when it fell upon his perspiring brow, but the old gentleman shivered a little and turned his back to the wind. Stuffy had always wondered why the old gentleman spoke his speech rather sadly. He did not know that it was because he was wishing every time that he had a son to succeed him, a son who would come there after he was gone, a son who would stand proud and strong before some subsequent Stuffy and say, "In memory of my father." Then it would be an institution. But the old gentleman had no relatives. He lived in rented rooms in one of the decayed old family brownstone mansions in one of the quiet streets east of the park. In winter, he raised fuchsias in a conservatory the size of a steamer trunk. In spring, he walked in the Easter parade. In summer, he lived at a farmhouse in the New Jersey hills and sat in a wicker armchair speaking of a butterfly, the Ornithopterus amphireus, that he hoped to find someday. In the autumn, he fed Stuffy a dinner. These were the old gentleman's occupations. Stuffy Pete looked up at him for half a minute, stewing and helpless in his own self-pity. The old gentleman's eyes were bright with the giving pleasure. His face was getting more lined each year, but his little black necktie was in as jaunty a bow as ever, and the linen was beautiful and white, and his gray mustache was curled carefully at the ends. And then Stuffy made a noise that sounded like peas bubbling in a pot. Speech was intended, and as the old gentleman had heard the sounds 9 times before, he rightly construed them into Stuffy's old formula of acceptance. "Thank ye, sir. I'll go with ye, and much obliged. I'm very hungry, sir." The coma of repletion had not prevented from entering Stuffy's mind the conviction that he was the basis of an institution. His Thanksgiving appetite was not his own. It belonged by all the sacred rights of established custom, if not by the actual statute of limitations, to this kind old gentleman who had preempted it. True, America is free, but in order to establish tradition, one must be a repetent, a repeating decimal. The heroes are not all heroes of steel and gold. See one here that wielded only weapons of iron, badly silvered, and tin. The old gentleman led his annual protege southward to the restaurant, and to the table where the feast had always occurred. They were recognized. "Here comes the old guy," said a waiter, "that blows that same bum to a meal every Thanksgiving." The old gentleman sat across the table, glowing like a smoked pearl at his cornerstone of future ancient tradition. The waiters heaped the table with holiday food, and Stuffy, with a sigh that was mistaken for hunger's expression, raised a knife and fork and carved for himself a crown of imperishable bay. No more valiant hero ever fought his way through the ranks of an enemy. Turkey, chops, soups, vegetables, pies disappeared before him as fast as they could be served. Gouged nearly uttermost when he entered the restaurant, the smell of food had almost caused him to lose his honor as a gentleman, but he rallied like a true knight. He saw the look of beneficent happiness in the old gentleman's face, a happier look than even the fuchsias and the Ornithoptera amphireus had ever brought to it, and he had not the heart to see it wane. In an hour, Stuffy leaned back with a battle won. "Thank ye kindly, sir," he puffed like a leaky steam pipe. "Thank ye kindly for a hearty meal." Then he arose heavily with glazed eyes and started toward the kitchen. A waiter turned him about like a top and pointed him toward the door. The old gentleman carefully counting out $1.30 in silver change, leaving 3 nickels for the waiter. They parted as they did each year at the door, the old gentleman going south, Stuffy north. Around the first corner Stuffy turned and stood for 1 minute. Then he seemed to puff out his rags as an owl puffs out his feathers, and fell to the sidewalk like a sun-stricken horse. When the ambulance came, the young surgeon and the driver cursed softly at his weight. There was no smell of whiskey to justify a transfer to the patrol wagon, so Stuffy and his 2 dinners went to the hospital. There they stretched him on a bed and began to test him for strange diseases, at the hope of getting a chance at some problem with bare steel. And lo, an hour later, another ambulance brought the old gentleman, and they laid him upon another bed and spoke of appendicitis, for he looked good for the bill. But pretty soon, one of the young doctors met with one of the young nurses whose eyes he liked, and stopped to chat with her about the cases. "That nice old gentleman over there," he said. "You wouldn't think he was a case of almost starvation. Proud old family, I guess. He told me he hadn't eaten a thing for 3 days." William Sidney Porter spent several years imprisoned for embezzlement in Austin, Texas. There, he met a guard named Orrin Henry. Shortly after his release from prison, he moved to New York and started writing ironic short stories under the pen name O. Henry. Thanks for listening, and please spread the word about the podcast. It would also be great if you'd subscribe, maybe even leave a review. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I'm Don McDonald.
Hey friends, it's Nikayla from the podcast Side Hustle Pro. I'm always looking for ways to entertain my kids without screens, and the Yoto Mini has been a total lifesaver. My kids started using it right away and haven't stopped since. Hours of stories, music, podcasts, and more at no screens or ads. Now through December 1st, Yoto is having its biggest sale of the year. Check out yotoplay.com.
Rediscover skin that looks as vibrant as you feel. Medik8 is a British clinical skincare brand trusted by dermatologists for visible, age-defying results without compromise. And right now is the best time of the year to try it. Medik8's 30% off during their Black Friday sale. If you've been curious about retinol, start with Medik8's Crystal Retinol Night Serum. It's award-winning, ultra-gentle, and proven to work 11 times faster than traditional retinol, smoothing wrinkles, brightening dark spots, and firming skin without irritation. Or try the fan-favorite liquid peptide serum, clinically proven to smooth fine lines in just 7 days. And if you want that lifted, deeply hydrated feel, Medik8's newest innovation, Advanced Pro Collagen Plus Peptide Cream, delivers visibly rejuvenated skin while reducing wrinkles. This is the moment to elevate your routine. Medik8's 30% off Black Friday sale is happening now through Tuesday, December 2nd. Visit Medik8.us, that's MEDIK8.us, and save 30% on age-defying skincare.
Hey guys, it's Paige from Giggly Squad, and if you're anything like me, holiday shopping has officially started. And you know where I'm going? Ulta Beauty. They have the cutest gift sets right now, like the Sol de Janeiro, Shea Rosa, and Cheer Perfume Mist Trio. It smells so good. I've been misting it everywhere, on me, on the street, on my pillow. It's a whole vibe. I'm obsessed with the Tarte Kindness Cafe Collector Set. It's packed with everyday makeup must-haves, and it's honestly too cute to wrap. And if you need a cozy little self-care moment, the Moroccan Oil Hand Care Essentials Kit is luxe, hydrating, and smells delicious. Don't worry if you can't decide right now. An Ulta Beauty gift card is the perfect gift for everyone. So whether you're gifting your bestie or yourself, make the season yours and head to Ulta Beauty today. Ulta Beauty, gifting happens here.
Thanks for listening all the way to the end. You're officially a story finisher, and I appreciate that more than you know. If you're curious what else I'm up to, check out one of my other podcasts, New Tales Told. It's brand new, original short fiction written and narrated by me. Just search New Tales Told in this app. And thanks so much for listening to Lit Reading, now part of the Storyverses channel at storyverses.com.